What happens when you take a Jeep Cherokee, Subaru XV Crosstrek, and sprinkle in a little bit of Dodge caliber? You get this. Our spotlight today is on this 2018 Hyundai Kona. This is the 2-liter, so not turbocharged, all-wheel drive luxury trim. It's right in the middle of the 7 trims they have here in Canada and probably represents the most popular option here for buyers, especially here in Quebec. Over the last couple months since this vehicle was launched, we've seen a lot of them on the road. So we're curious to know, why is this such a popular little subcompact crossover SUV? I mean, this market now is flooded with vehicles from pretty much every manufacturer, this being one of the newest. So what is it about this little car that gets buyers so excited? So we're going to be taking a look on the inside, outside, and taking this car for a road test to see everything about it, to figure out why it is such a popular vehicle here in Canada. Now, if you didn't quite understand my references at the beginning about why this feels like a Jeep Cherokee slash Subaru Crosstrek slash a little bit of Dodge caliber, I hope you'll understand as we walk around the exterior of this car. Now, to start off, I understand that most car designs now are derivative. They are taken from other manufacturers' inspirations to create their own vehicle. So you're always going to find inspiration between different vehicles. And I'm not saying that Hyundai necessarily copied what else is on the market, but I'm just saying that there is some similarities here, and that's what I noticed when I first saw these cars. The reason why I say it looks like the Cherokee is because there are 3 different levels of lights on the front here. Up top, at the very top here, are your LED running lights and turn signals. They are much like the Cherokee, where they are above, and then below were your halogen headlights and your high beams as well. And a little bit more into the middle of the bottom are your fog lights. They're all halogen on this trim. If you do go with the 1.6 liter, which comes with a turbocharged engine, much more powerful, 174 horsepower, then they would be LED headlights. But for the most part, they work. They're not that great at night though. We did do some testing. They don't move, they don't adjust. The high beams aren't that great. And again, we will continuously talk about how we dislike the overall performance of halogen headlights no matter what. Then moving around to the rest of the vehicle, you do have blind spot monitoring and lane keep assist at this price, which actually is pretty good. There are no power folding mirrors, they're manual folding. It seems to be a trend with Hyundai vehicles. Aside from that, the reason I say this looks like a Subaru Crosstrek is really the plastic unpainted cladding around the sides and front of the vehicle. It gives it more of a utilitarian look to it, which certainly fits in with the fact that this is supposed to be a utility vehicle, but I just feel it kind of looks a little bit like the XV Crosstrek. Now let's take a look at the back, because that's where the Dodge caliber part comes in. And the reason why I say sprinkle of caliber is because it just kind of has a little bit of that design. Really, there's nothing about the back end that really looks like a caliber, but I just feel that it has sort of that same sloping rear end, which I guess you could say any vehicle does, but I don't know, it just kind of feels like a mix of all 3. The trunk is not power opening, but it will spring itself up. Size is actually pretty decent for a subcompact crossover SUV. You do have a little net there to be able to put some items. Underneath the floor is a little bit of storage like we found on other vehicles from the South Korean manufacturer. And aside from that, it's pretty straightforward. The seats fold in a 60-40 split. And similar to the way that the front end was split between the lights, the rear lights are also split too. You've got your brake lights up top with your center high mounted stoplight in the middle, obviously, but your reverse lights and turn signals are a little bit further at the bottom. Now, there are parking sensors along the back of this vehicle, not on the front, but the back certainly helps, especially pulling into spots. The backup camera is decent enough, but as we kind of find with a lot of these vehicles now, so the resolution isn't that good. So the parking sensors do help a little bit when you're pulling into a spot. But let's jump on the inside now and see, is this really a vehicle that is exciting people enough to jump in, or is there some magic that I'm missing when it comes to the rest of the vehicle? We talked a little bit about volume sellers for brands such as Kia and Hyundai last week when we did our 2019 long-term test of the Kia Sportage that we've got. Much like that, this doesn't have navigation for the 7-inch infotainment screen here. It uses the same software, so it looks identical, but there's no navigation built in. So you will have to use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but for a lot of people, I don't think that's a big issue. There's no dual zone climate control. It is a single zone climate control system with air conditioning. You can set the temperature and the fan speed if you want to, but it does have an auto mode for it. You do have heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, and then that's about it. Much like the Kia Sportage, again, you can put this vehicle into 4-wheel drive lock mode. And I think that really is one of the reasons why it's selling, especially here in Quebec. The fact that you can get all-wheel drive for a relatively affordable price is quite good. You know, the interior actually isn't anything surprising, especially at this trim. It's all plastic. But the one thing I did note about this almost instantly when I got in is how good the build quality is. All the door panels and trim, everything lines up exactly where it should. You have all the doors shut, and the trim pieces and door gaps are wicked close. So they did do a very good job making sure that the interior was built well, and same with the outside. We didn't find any issues or flaws with the build quality of this vehicle. But that's about it. There isn't a whole lot going on with this car, especially feature-wise. We do have a sunroof, which is certainly nice, and the back seats do have an armrest with a cup holder. But there isn't really much else going on back there. There isn't even a vent for the passengers back there. You only have the vents up in the front. So while it probably will be used as a family vehicle, the backseat passengers might get a little cold or warm depending on the season that you're in. So keep that in mind. But again, we usually do find that in the subcompact crossover SUV markets. Now that we've done the inside and we talked about the outside of this vehicle, there isn't anything, for me at least, that is standing out to make this such a surprisingly good seller. So maybe there's something about the drive that I'm missing. So let's take it on its road test and figure out why so many people are picking the Kona over the plethora of other vehicles to choose from. I will admit that this 2018 Hyundai Kona 2.0 luxury all-wheel drive is not the model for enthusiasts. But you might be wondering, why would enthusiasts even be interested in a vehicle such as this? Well, over the past little while, my Instagram feed has started to get filled up with people who are buying Konas and loving Konas. So while it might not be the subcompact crossover utility vehicle for you, it seems to be a great option for a lot of other people, and especially a lot of enthusiasts out there who you might not have expected to be interested in a Kona. Now, 147 horsepower has never felt slower in a car like this. This car weighs 1,400 kilograms, roughly. I mean, that's the estimate for this all-wheel drive model. And I mean, it feels kind of sluggish. I'm going to show you here. We're in eco mode, but I'm going to put it into sport mode to give it a fair shot here. We're going from a dig. Oh, we hit 50. That was 50. That took a long time to get to 50, and I'm telling you, you really do need to drive this car in sport mode just to be able to get on to the highways. 147 horsepower, 133 pound-feet of torque is not very quick, especially for a vehicle of this size. Even with the all-wheel drive, it really doesn't get things going very quickly. Now, you can get the 1.6 liter turbo, which has 177 horsepower, and I think that really is the one to get. I think that's the one that the enthusiasts are buying, because really you get the best of the Hyundai Elantra, which we drove and liked, with the all-wheel drive of a subcompact crossover utility such as this. So you get kind of the best of both. Now back there we were doing the 0 to 50 kilometers an hour. We will do the 0 to 100 here. Nobody around, we're still on public roads. So we're gonna bring the car to a dig here. Again, we're in sport mode. Whee! Wow, so much power. Oh my God, hold on. Ah! 100, woohoo, we made it. We made it, yeah. It's not fast, okay? I don't think it's really meant to be quick, this one. This one is more, I'd say that if you're looking at the 2-liter version of the Hyundai Kona, it's because you're using it as a city car. You're maybe not going to be necessarily going on the highways as much, because that has been our issue with this vehicle so far, is getting onto the highway has been a struggle. Trying to pass people on the highway has been a struggle. And it's not like I'm not used to driving a slow car. Before this, I drove that 1990 Honda Accord that we featured earlier in November, and I think that thing had 120 horsepower, but it was a lighter car, so it felt a little bit more nimble. But this is certainly not a fast vehicle. The ride also, you kind of feel everything in it. For a subcompact crossover, you feel quite a bit of the road. But what else do you expect? I mean, for the price, it's not bad. You get all-wheel drive. It isn't quiet necessarily, both from an engine perspective and from an actual being able to have a conversation with somebody perspective. It is a little bit louder than you would expect a vehicle to be. But why are people buying it? I still don't understand. I mean, here we are driving it down a relatively rough road, which represents the average road here in Quebec, and it's not an overly enjoyable experience. And again, there's nothing in here that really stands out. You know, when you look at the 15 other subcompact crossover SUVs available in North America, and that is including luxury and premium vehicles, but I mean, there's a lot of them, they all offer all-wheel drive. There's only one really that doesn't. So all-wheel drive isn't the killer feature. My only thought is maybe people really want the newest subcompact crossover SUV you can buy. But I still don't get it. I still don't understand what the excitement is for this car, why enthusiasts are going for it. But it's probably because I don't have the right engine. Now, do I? Yes, Niall from the past, as always, you're correct. Because that was the wrong Hyundai Kona for you to be driving. This is the one that the enthusiasts are going after. This is the 2018 Hyundai Kona 1.6-liter turbo ultimate. This has all the fun stuff with it. You have blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, and a color head-up display. It actually is a good-looking head-up display that pops up so that it keeps itself clean from dust, which is something that we've actually noticed with some other head-up displays that don't even have dust protection in there. So there's a little bit more going on with this, but the big meat and potatoes of this car, the reason why people are going to be looking at this more so than the fun tech stuff, the bigger screen with actual navigation and all of that, is the power. This is a smaller yet more powerful turbocharged engine. You get more power out of it. Also, instead of using a 6-speed regular automatic, this uses a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. It's actually a little bit better. Now, we're in eco mode right now, and we're only driving it around the corner from the dealership that we're taking it from, so big thanks to Riendo here in Saint-Julie, Quebec for letting us film their 1.6-liter Ultimate. But we're only driving it around the corner, so I can't talk about fuel economy. Unfortunately, we just don't know because we're not going to have it on a long enough drive. But if we put the car into sport mode and give it some gas, this is what we were looking for. This was the big complaint of the other one. You get more power, and especially in a smaller vehicle like this, it feels like you're going faster than you actually are. I mean, we're doing the speed limit right now, but it feels a little bit quicker. You certainly have less issues than you do with a 2-liter non-turbo. You kick it down, and right away, we're good to go. That dual clutch really helps, and if you put it into manual shift mode, it does a pretty good job of it. Man, those shifts are quick. Oh, wow, it's almost instant. Shift down, look, I'm clicking now. Whoa, it's there. That is the whole point of having a dual clutch. Wow, I'm enjoying that. That's the one to get if you want a little bit more power. If you're looking for this subcompact style, if you like the look of it, but you want a little bit more, this is what you need to go for. And it helps having better headlights. Fog lights are still halogen though, but the rest of it really is all the same. It is more about the power than anything else. And I have to say, this makes all the difference. All the issues that I had with that 2-liter non-turbo out the window. I'm enjoying this a hell of a lot more than I did before. So this is the one you should look for, even if you're not getting it fully loaded. If you're anybody who isn't driving within a city, something like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, any city that you're really just in stop and go traffic, you should be looking at this, because getting on the highway with this is a lot easier. It's a lot more fun, and it's actually a lot more enjoyable. You have a little bit more power, and sure, you're going to lose a little bit on the fuel economy, but again, if you're not in the city and you're taking this like a normal person driving it on the highways, this is going to be a lot more enjoyable for you. And I have to say, I'm really liking it a lot more. So this is the one to get. The 1.6-liter turbo makes a big difference for this vehicle. I know it's only an improvement of 28 horsepower, but it kicks in 700 RPM sooner and has 62 pound-feet of torque more at 1500 RPM rather than waiting for 4500. I'll give Hyundai credit though, offering multiple engines here in Canada gives consumers more choice. If you aren't in need of the more powerful model, save the cash and get the one that we had. But if you want to go with the enthusiast grade Kona, if you can call it that, then the extra $4,300 Canadian to go to the 1.6 Turbo Ultimate might be worth it for some. As for the rest of our likes, having an all-wheel drive lock mode is a feature that most might not appreciate, considering it's a feature we rarely see. The infotainment is definitely one of our top picks in the consumer segment, and overall price for this model that we had from the press fleet was well equipped compared with the competition. Dislikes aren't too worrying either. We would have added the 2-liter engine's performance if it were the only option in Canada, but we certainly prefer the turbocharged model. Styling might not be for everybody, but considering the 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe looks like a bigger brother to the Kona, it seems that Hyundai is committed to it. Dual-zone automatic climate control is available on other subcompact crossovers in the segment, so it would have been nice to see it on this one. But I still don't fully understand why the Kona has been this insanely popular seller here in Quebec. It could just be my brain noticing them more, or the fact that it's a brand new model and consumers are interested in being early adopters for the newest vehicle. Its small form factor is certainly a key factor here in Quebec, mixed with the all-wheel drive option, though we can only think of one vehicle in this segment that comes as front-wheel drive only. It's a funky little car with a unique design, bright color options, and a competitive price point. It's clearly a formula that works for Hyundai, and it's working for buyers as well. Thanks for watching this episode of Test Drive Spotlight on the 2018 Hyundai Kona. I want to extend a big thank you to Rindo Hyundai in Saint-Julie, Quebec for loaning us their 1.6 Turbo Ultimate to feature in this episode. Without their help, our review of this car wouldn't be complete. We're also planning to film a classic car with them, this Hyundai Pony, in immaculate condition, so stay tuned for that episode of Test Drive coming in the next little while. We publish new episodes of Test Drive every week here on PRN, so make sure you're subscribed to our channel to get the latest episodes for free. Until next time, take care.